Hi, folks. This chapter, the chapter 11, is on culture, and I want to talk about culture for a little while, introduce some concepts. I've left the whiteboard vacant because we just key things I need to indicate there, and I'll do that. I want to begin just by talking about culture in general. We as human beings are really not that well adapted to our environment. We're not that fast. We don't have that much body hair. We're not very strong. I mean, you compare us with a tiger or some other kind of animal, just face to face, the tiger's going to win, or the chimpanzee will beat us up, or whatever. I mean, we just can't compare with their strength and speed. And so, in order to survive, okay, since we don't have coloration, we don't have a shell to protect us, we don't have instincts. We developed this thing called culture, okay? And what culture is this, think of it as an umbrella that protects us in the environment. And it's something that we make, we create, and it protects us. And there's several reasons why we have an elaborate culture and other animals don't. And it has made us ascendant over other animals. It's been a really big thing for, our survival depends upon it. As an example, I'll just tell you this real quick. A couple of years ago, my son was visiting his mother in San Francisco, and while he was there, and they like to go to parks and museums and stuff like that, while he was there in the San Francisco Zoo, a tiger escaped and killed 3 guys. And boy, I was scared to death. So I get on the phone, I call my son. He says, "No, we did go, but it was not that day." And he said the papers had stuff that I hadn't heard, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. He said that what happened is that those guys were taunting the tiger, and the tiger was like in Oklahoma City Zoo. You got the tiger, and then you got this moat, and you got a wall. And the tiger just, they were taunting him, and the tiger just said, just had enough. And he goes after him. And he leaped over the wall, and he's running them down. And they're running and screaming and trying to get out of the way. And the way he killed them, I'll tell you this, so there's a phone ringing in the background. I'm sorry, I don't know how to turn it off. It's some kind of a fax that my wife's got. But at any rate, the tiger was running after these guys, and what he does is he runs up behind them, he puts his paws on the back of their shoulders, okay, and then he bites down through their spinal column, and they're dead before they hit the ground. Well, he killed all 3 of these people that way, okay, and my point of the story is that first of all, don't ever mess with tigers, but secondly, that tigers, they're huge animals and fast and strong and all this kind of stuff. So Mother Nature has given them this stuff, okay? We don't have any of that stuff, all right? And without their culture, those guys were helpless. Now, let me tell you, if each of those guys had a 30-06 and the tiger broke out, they could have blasted the tiger. But the 30-06 is a part of their culture, okay? And we use that to protect us in our environment. All right, so we're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about the way we adapt to our environment by using the culture. I'm going to begin by giving you a definition. Let me go ahead and type this definition. Culture is that complex entity including all knowledge, I could spell it, Knowledge, all knowledge, beliefs, art, skills, ideas, and artifacts acquired, whoops, I forgot. I gotta go over here. And artifacts, that's plural, acquired, A-C-Q-U-I-R-E-D, acquired by people as members of society. Okay, culture, complex entity, including all knowledge, beliefs, art, skills, ideas, and artifacts acquired by people as members of society. Okay, In a little bit, I'm going to make a distinction between the knowledge, beliefs, arts, and skills, which are held internally, and the artifacts. An artifact is anything that is objective. Objective. I don't know if that was right, but it's anything that's tangible. That's a tangible part of our culture. All right. So there are examples of artifacts all around you. I mean, I'm looking at a computer screen. That computer is an artifact. It's setting up on a crate. That crate's an artifact. That's setting up on the, our cabinets in our kitchen. That's an artifact. All right. The chairs and the cars and my clothes and your clothes and jewelry and my watch and all of these things are artifacts. They're tangible objects that we've created. Okay. But this other stuff, it's in our heads: knowledge, beliefs, art, skills, ideas. Now, the big thing here, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can underline. Nope, not do that. Not 13, big deal. Acquired, look at that. Acquired. It's not a straight line, but it'll work. Okay, acquired by people. Okay, now here's the point. We have to learn the culture. Okay, now think about it. I mentioned a 30-06. Okay, it's a rifle, high-powered rifle. You have to learn how to shoot it. You have to learn how to load it, right? The culture. My watch. You have to. My granddaughter is 7 years old. She's learning to tell time. Okay, and if it's 9:40 and I say it's 20 till 10, it screws her up. She only does it a certain way. But you got to learn how to do it. You got to learn how to tie your shoes. Okay, your shoes are part of the culture. You got to learn how to do pretty much everything. You got to learn how to put on your clothes. You remember that when you were a little kid? I remember having trouble putting a shirt like I got on now. It was hard to put on, getting your head in the right hole and getting it figured out. So, you got to learn how to do it. Okay, and it's acquired. Okay, you learn it in the context of the culture. Okay, now the thing that makes culture possible and gives us the variety of culture is the fact that oh, darn it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Is the fact that, let's see, I kind of forgot what I was saying. Culture, blah, 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 blah. Acquired, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. The thing that gives us cultural variation, okay, and makes the culture possible is the fact that we don't have instincts. We don't have. There's an absence of instincts among our species. Okay, let me tell you what an instinct is. An instinct is an unmodifiable. That's how I type it. Unmodified behavioral response to a stimulus. An unmodifiable behavioral response to a stimulus. So and you don't learn it. I mean, it's genetic, okay? It's genetic. It's unmodifiable behavioral response, and it's programmed into you genetically. So let me give you an example. Let's see here, a baby squirrel raised in isolation, fed a liquid diet. Upon being released into the woods, will find and gather and hide nuts just like a squirrel raised in the woods. He doesn't have to learn it. He knows it already, okay? So you raise him in isolation, he still knows how to do it. Bees, within a bee colony, there's a division of labor, and there's some bees, worker bees, that go out and find nectar-producing plants. They emit a chemical signal back to other members in the hive that tells them where the nectar-bearing plants are. They don't learn that. They don't go to a bee school and learn how to do that. It's genetic. It's programmed into them, okay? On the other hand, kittens raised in isolation do not wash themselves. You know how kids are always licking themselves. They got to learn how to do that. Okay, so we don't have instincts. Now we have reflexes. Okay, so like we have a blinking reflex and a nursing reflex. If you want to know if a little baby's hungry, you touch their lips with your finger. If they try to nurse your finger, they're hungry. But that's a simpler behavioral response than an instinct. Okay, well, we don't have instincts, and the advantage of this is that it frees us up so we can develop responses to stimuli in a variety of different ways. Okay, so it gives us the freedom. So the advantage of instincts is you don't have to learn it, okay? But the disadvantage is it locks you into a certain way of behavior, okay, all the time. So we don't have it, so it gives us this great flexibility. All right. So we acquire it by living in society. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is why we have instincts, why we as a species have instincts and other species don't have instincts. God, what am I saying? I just said, that's all wrong. That's totally wrong. My mouth is going and I'm thinking of what I'm saying next, and I'm saying everything wrong. We do not have instincts. Yeah. Humans do not have instincts. That's not how you spell it. Did I spell that right? I-N-S-T-I-N. Oh, whoops. A second. Whoops. Oh, crap. I can't change it. Oh, I misspelled instinct. It doesn't have that I in there. Okay. We do not have, I don't know what I was saying. I just said that. I don't know why I said that. It was wrong. We do not have instincts, and that allows us to develop culture. All right. You guys ought to demand your tuition money back. Okay, here we go. Okay, so why do we have a culture? That's what I wanted to say. Why do we have a culture? What allows us to develop a culture? Well, there are certain what we call cultural requisites. Can't spell that. Q-I-S-I-T-E-S. Cultural requisites, okay? And these are things that make culture possible, or they shape or channel the development of culture, okay? Now, in your notes, if you look in the notes that I gave you, I give you a list. I'm going to write the list down now in the same order, so we'll be talking on the same thing here. Upright position, big brains, opposable thumbs, whoopsie doopsie. Rotating shoulder, absence of body hair. I've got a C in it, yeah. Language, and absence of an estrous cycle. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about each one of these. Cultural requisites. Okay, we have an upright position. We are what are called bipedal primates, okay? Now, I didn't really talk to you. I spent a lot of time saying this in my face-to-face class. Some of the material I'm going to give you is a little bit maybe controversial to you, and I'm not trying to challenge your beliefs. I'm just trying to expose you to the material, okay? So what I want to do is I want to talk about this upright position. We have been a separate species for about 6 million years, anthropologists think, okay, anthropologists and biologists. And the idea is that we didn't come from monkeys, okay, in terms of selection, but chimpanzees, gorillas, and us, okay, share a common ancestor. And about 6 million years ago, we split off and formed these 3 distinct species. And so we have, we're like cousins to chimpanzees. It might interest you to know that we share more genetic material in common with chimpanzees than chimpanzees do with gorillas. Okay, so we've got more in common with them. So we have this common ancestor 6 million years ago, and our ancestors lived in the trees. All right, and we think that we developed this upright position. We are bipedal primates, okay, which means that I'm trying to stand up straight, which means that we stand erect on our feet, okay, as opposed to a, kind of a hunchy monkey looking, stance. And the thing of it is we think that is adaptive, okay, for several reasons. So early on, we lived in the trees. We got food. We got we got protection from the trees. But then, due to some kind of environmental change in Africa, there's another thing I got to tell you about the mitochondrial leaf hypothesis. I'll talk. Let me finish this, and I'll get into that. So we're living in the trees, and then there's some kind of climate change, and the forests recede, and the savannas or grasslands expand. And since we're living in the trees, we get our food and protection from the trees. Now we have to move from one forest to the next. And it turns out that an upright position is more adaptive. Okay. Now I've got to pause for a minute. I've got to talk about natural selection. Natural selection. Okay. Natural selection is an important concept in understanding how we evolved over time. And again, I'm not trying to change your beliefs. I'm just trying to expose you to this stuff. Okay. Now, natural selection. Darwin came up with I'm not sure he actually was the one who came up with it, but we associate it with his name. Okay. And what Darwin says is that within any population, there is variation. Oops. So next time you're in class, look around. You'll find some people taller, some people shorter, some people smarter, some people are better athletes. People vary, okay? Within a population, you vary, okay? And some of those traits are adaptive, and they are selected. So what that means is that if you have a trait, okay, and it helps you adapt to the environment, you're more likely to live to maturity and have offspring which share that trait. So if something is adaptive over time, it's going to predominate in that population. I don't know if you've ever been to that zoo. It's kind of a natural zoo down by Wynnewood. I forget what it's called, but they got giraffes down there. Beautiful, beautiful animals. You can drive right up to them, and they'll stand right outside your car. They're begging for food. You can buy these little treats and give them to them. They have tongues like this long, and they'll lick your windshield if you don't give them a treat. But they're beautiful animals, and so you got to wonder, well, how did they get those long necks? Okay. And I don't know, I'm no biologist, okay, but it'd be something like this. It'd be like within a population of giraffes, you have natural variation. Some are taller than others, okay. And if it gets dry for a period of time and the grass dries up, the only food that's available, say, are leaves. I'm making this all up. I don't know if this is true, okay. The ones that have longer necks are more likely to survive, okay, because their long neck is adaptive. And they are selected out of the population, and their kin or their kids are more likely to be born and survive because they have longer necks. So over a period of time, you're going to get a population with longer necks over thousands and thousands of generations. Okay, takes a long time, and that is the next thing. It's replication. So variation, selection, and replication are the three components of natural selection. So we find, if people have a trait that's adaptive, okay, helps them survive in the environment, then that trait is going to be replicated throughout the population because it facilitates survival. That's Darwin's basic idea. So this upright position is adaptive, and the reason it's adaptive is because now there's more savanna, okay, it's hotter. An upright position gets your head away from the surface of the earth, which is cooled by that radiant, which is heated by that radiant sun. No telling what's going to come out of my mouth next. This is scary. They can better look for predators over the grass with an upright position. And they have faster locomotion. They can move faster. Okay, they can run faster with an upright position. So all of these things are adaptive. So over a period of time, those with those characteristics survive, have offspring with those characteristics. Those who don't, they die out. They're eliminated from the gene pool. So we're thinking that that's how the upright position evolved. Now, I mentioned Africa. I want to talk about something real quick here. I can get this last thing in. It's called the mitochondrial Eve hypothesis. And what that means is that that our species, all humans, okay, originally came from Africa, Mother Africa, all right? Not just black folks, but everybody, white folks too, okay? We all came from Africa. And the reason they make this argument is that they discovered the skeletal remains of a woman who lived in the Great Rift Valley in eastern Africa, okay, around Tanzania or Kenya, about 200,000 years ago. And there's this component of the DNA called the mitochondrial DNA, which is transmitted maternally. And they've done surveys, large surveys of people alive today, and they can trace the mitochondrial Eve of everybody who's alive today to that woman who lived in Africa. So we're thinking that our species originated in Africa, okay? Now the question is okay, if that's true, then how come there's white folks, right? Well, what happened, and again, think about adaptation and natural selection. What happened, and I'm not going to draw you a picture, and I'm just going to paint this with words. You're living in Africa, hunters and gatherers, okay? It takes a large area to support hunters and gatherers because they're not cultivating anything, right? They're just picking what Mother Nature gives them. And so as their population grows, they have to migrate. And so there are these migratory pressures. So they move out of Africa, okay, move into the Middle East, and then across Asia and across the Bering Sea into North and South America. And then the most recent move has been northward into Europe as the ice age has receded, okay? Well, light-colored skin is adaptive in processing sunlight. Once you get beyond being a baby, your primary source of vitamin D is sunlight. And if you live in northern climates where you're covered up, okay, most of the time, you have smaller skin surfaces exposed to the sun. And so a whiter skin more effectively transmits that sunlight, and then you get more vitamin D. You have melanin in your skin, okay? And melanin is a protective agent that guards against skin cancer. And so people in equatorial regions like Africa, they've got dark skin. They've got a lot of melanin in their skin, okay? And that protects them. But as you migrate north, that melanin is no longer adapting because you have less of your skin exposed. So again, within a population, you have some darker skinned people and some lighter skinned people. Those with lighter skins can better survive in northern climates because they get more more sunlight and consequently vitamin D into their diets, which allows them to convert calcium. So they're more likely to survive and have offspring that have those characteristics. So white folks developed over time in response to this northern migration of folks into Europe. All right. Now, an interesting point to prove this: Eskimos live in a cold climate, but they have dark skins. But Eskimos live on a maritime diet, which is very high in vitamin D. So they don't need to get it through sun. So they can keep their darker skin tint, okay? It's an interesting kind of thing. But we think that everybody came from Africa. Okay, all right. A few other things we need to talk about. Big brains. We have big brains, and as a consequence, we can think up our culture. We can develop it. I always think if you've had calculus, they probably told you about the guys who thought it up. In the 18th century, two guys, Leibniz on the continent and Newton in England, thought it up, weren't communicating with each other in different areas, but about the same time, they came up with the same thing. Okay, they invented calculus. Well, you've got to be smart to do that, and they did it. They came up with it, all right? So big brains allows us to create and then to use our culture, all right? We have an opposable thumb. It's a thumb in opposition to our four fingers. It allows us to grasp tools, and tools are part of our culture, and this facilitates the use of those tools. We have a rotating shoulder, which allows us to use tools over our heads. We have the absence of body hair. Look at that. consequently, my head gets real cold in the wintertime, and in the summertime, I get sunburned. So it's a problem. So what we've had to do is develop clothes to keep us from developing, hypothermia. We've got to protect our body temperature. And we don't have that much hair like other animals do, and consequently, we can easily lose our body heat. Your dog can sleep out even in the wintertime. If you can get under some leaves or something, you'll be okay. But we'd die, okay, without our culture. We've got to have clothes on, okay? So you got to wear clothes because it's a rule, and you got to wear clothes to stay alive, okay? Next, we have language. Language allows us to communicate our culture to other people. It's a great way to learn the culture, okay? So I'm standing here in front of you guys right now, and you see me on this video screen, but you can't see my arms are down by my side. I'm opening my mouth. I'm forcing air over my voice box. I'm fiddling with my tongue and my lips, and I'm making these sounds, okay? And these sounds are going to my computer, and then they go into the ether. I don't know how that works. And then they come out of your computer and hit your ear. And I can say concepts like civil liberties, which is an abstract idea. But you know what I mean, and I know what I mean. And that allows us to develop an elaborate culture. And then when you can write it down, you have a permanent record. And so literate societies who are writing it down, I mean, it's a great advantage for them. Okay, absence of an estrous cycle. For some animals, some mammals, sexual behavior is regulated hormonally, okay? So there's only certain times of the year that the female is receptive to sex, okay? Think of dogs, all right? And so what this means is that the female dog, is only receptive at a certain time, okay? They copulate, and then like in dogs, the guy leaves, okay? And he doesn't have to hang around, okay? Because the mama dog can raise the kids by themselves, raise the pups by themselves. And human beings don't have an estrous cycle, okay? Which means that the human female is receptive to sex all the time. Now, what this means is that the guy is more likely to hang around, okay? I hate to say that, but that's kind of it, I mean, I'm not saying that's all of it, but I'm just saying that's what they talk about. And so he's more likely to hang around, okay? But that's important because you need the male in the life of the child to help raise him, okay? So, a little baby puppy, you say, who's your daddy? He doesn't know, but it's okay because the mama's taking care of him. But for humans, you need both the mother and the father. The father is a breadwinner and supports the mother in nurturing the child. So you need them. So it's adaptive, okay? It's adaptive. Okay, I think that's it for that. Now, what I want to do is we're talking about cultural requisites. So why do we have a culture, an elaborate culture, and others don't? The reason I was pausing there is not because I was trying to think of what I was going to say. I mean, I kind of was, but I did tell you some stuff about big brains. There's a relationship. This is interesting. I'm going to tell you this, okay? I've gone through this, but I want to back up. Look up here. Look on your notes. Upright position and big brains. There's a relationship between those two. This is interesting. This is really interesting, I think. It makes sense that a woman who's going to have a baby, okay, if she has broader hips, she can more easily give birth, okay? And I don't know if that's medically true, but it makes sense to me, okay? And so you would think that the wider her hips, the more adaptive. You'd think that women who are really, really wide hips were more likely to be around, right? Because that's adaptive. But here's the problem. If the wider your hips, the less athletic you are. And so what happens is that there's kind of a compromise struck because human infants are basically born premature, all right? If you compare our gestation period with that of chimpanzees, we should have a gestation period of about 19 months instead of 9 months, okay, if we were like compared with chimpanzees. And we're born premature. And the reason is that when you're born, the hard part to get out is the head, okay? And so what happens is that humans are born premature, so their heads are smaller. And then once they're out, then their heads grow, their brains grow, okay? And so look at a little baby. Look at a newborn baby. I mean, they look premature. I mean, they don't do anything. They're just laying there. Look at a baby deer. You know, within 6 hours of birth, a baby deer can stand up and run fast enough to elude predators. How about that? Or a baby rattlesnake has venom, toxic venom, can strike right after it's born. You know, but humans, what can they do? Nothing. Lay there, right? And they can't even open their eyes. I guess they can open their eyes, but they rarely do, and they just cry and just, you know. That's because they're born premature. And when compared to chimpanzees. But it's the compromise. They're born premature so they can pass through the birth canal, and at the same time, the mama doesn't have to have such wide hips. So she's more mobile, okay? So it's an interesting kind of thing. Okay. I believe the next thing I want to talk about, let me check my notes here. Okay, I'm looking like I need to talk about, yeah. Okay. What I want to do is I want to talk about a couple of theories related to culture. I might could draw this. I don't know. I mean, it's in your notes, but I thought I could just do this. I don't know. It's kind of risky business. Let me try this right here. I come like this. Well, so far so good. And I come like this. It's looking pretty good. Okay. All right. Remember when I defined culture, I said, okay, there's two kinds of culture. I mean, well, I didn't say that. What I did say is that when we define culture, culture consists of knowledge, beliefs, art, skills, ideas, and those are all held in your head, and then artifacts, which are outside of you, okay? So we can think of the artifacts as being the material culture, okay, because it's tangible, all right? It's out there for you. All the rest of the stuff you hold inside, okay? So it's the non-material culture. Well, this guy came up with this theory. For some reason, I have more room today. And it's called the culture lag hypothesis. And his name, let me draw this and I'll write his name. And his name oh, you know what I really need to do? I need to kind of draw that curvy. Let's see if I can do that. Nope, can't draw curvy. Wonder if I can do it with this. Well, that's pretty big though. Okay, but I'll do it. Whoopsie doopsie. I'll live with that. Okay. His name is Ogburn. William F. Ogburn, William Fielding Ogburn. And he said that, okay, we can talk about these two components of culture. There is the material part of the culture. There's a big M for the material. That's this one right here. And then down here is the non-material. So I'll draw M, and I'll put a line over it. It's non-material, okay? The material culture increases in a linear fashion. And the reason for that is that there are agreed upon standards for assessing the efficiency of the material culture. Think about this. You buy a computer. What do you want in a computer? Well, you want the same thing I want. I just bought this computer. And I guarantee you, I'm looking for the same stuff you. I want it to be portable. I want it to be fast. I want it to have a lot of software applications. I want it to have a lot of memory. We all want the same thing. Engineers know what we all want, so they give us what we want. Let's see. I think Jobs said this. He said, if cars had improved at the rate of computers, okay, today you could buy a Cadillac for $0.25 and it'd go at the speed of light. That's how much computers have improved. And it's because we all agree. You know, we all want the same thing in a computer. We want it faster, smaller, you know, cheaper, more applications. We all want the same. So they give it to us, okay? And so now I bought this computer right now that I'm doing this thing on because I'm doing this thing. That's why I had to buy a new one. My old one couldn't do it. Bought it for $400 at Walmart. It's a Hewlett Packard, and it's got a terabyte of memory. It's incredible. It's incredible. When I was in college, we got the first computer. There was only one in the whole school. Okay, and it occupied 2 rooms in the science building. This is like 1966. Okay, and it cost like $50,000, and you had the CPU, central processing unit, and then you had a card reader that would input the data, and you have a card punch to punch the cards to input the data, and then you have a printer, and it took up 2 rooms. And it cost $50,000, and the total memory of that sucker was 8K. I have a calculator, and you probably do too, that's a graphing calculator that's got 8K of memory, when mine was less than $100. So you go from $100 way back to $50,000. It's incredible. It's incredible. Okay. All right. So if we all agree on what we want on the material culture, the non-material culture, the stuff we hold in our heads, lags behind. Why? Because there aren't universally agreed upon standards. Okay. So it goes up in fits and spurts, and it lags behind. Now this is a problem because the gap between these is called culture lag. I'm not going to get it. Culture, that's the abbreviation, lag, L-A-G. Culture lag hypothesis. Free up the Y. There we go. Look at that P. Culture lag hypothesis. And here's the deal. The non-material culture relates us to the material, okay? So this down here is relating us to this. And because there's this big gap, we have problems, okay? We have problems in our society, social problems. And it's a reflection of this gap, okay? Let me give you kind of a traditional example, okay? And then let me give you some current examples. 18th century farmers used wooden plows, okay, to plow their fields. They were slow, ineffective, they broke off when they were lousy plows. Some smart person thought up the idea of putting a metal tip on the end of the plow. You can take it off, sharpen it, and cut the soil cleanly, go faster, better product, okay? That's all a part of the material culture, okay? However, people believe that the iron would poison the soil, so they didn't use them, okay? So the non-material culture relates us to the material. Let me give you some contemporary examples. We have the technological capability to safely terminate, well, not for the infant, but to terminate the life of the fetus and protect the life of the mother. We have that ability to do that, that medical technology. That's part of material culture, okay? But our values and beliefs about that vary tremendously. And one of the schism issues in our society today, and it was in 1972, which is 28 and 16, it's 44 years ago, well, with Roe v. Wade, it's been a problem for 44 years. People still don't agree on that. It's amazing to me the conflict. I mean, I can see it, but the conflict that people have over that, and it's a problem. I mean, it's a problem in our society. It's divisive in our society. So that's an example, okay, I'll give you another real quick example. We have the medical capability of cloning animals, okay? Now, folks, I go to church a little bit with my granddaughter. I go to children's mass when she goes to school. But I don't go to church a lot. But I tell you, the idea of cloning something gives me the willies. It just does. To think that there could be Mark II right here, okay, and this is my clone. I mean, I believe I got a soul, okay? That's my belief. I got a soul. I don't know about this guy. I don't know if he has a soul. It just worries me. And I'm not that religious. I don't know why it bugs me so much. But my point is, the ability to clone is the material. The non-material cultures are beliefs about if you should do it, if it's right, if it's moral, that sort of thing, okay? Culture lag hypothesis. Okay, the next thing, see if I've got more space. I'm running out of space. The next thing is, I want to tell you about another theory. Where was this? Another theory related to culture, and it's called the Whorfian, W-H, good night nurse, W-H-O-R-F-I-A-N hypothesis. Whorfian hypothesis, okay? Whorf was a linguist. A linguist is a guy who studies language, the structure of language, the impact of language. And he came up with this hypothesis, okay? And it's got three parts. And the first part says that we develop symbols, think of words, concepts, to communicate about the world around us. And that makes sense, right? I mean, we talk about stuff that's important to us that we see in our environment, okay? Then the second part is that these symbols, okay, that we develop, okay, they reflect the environment in which we live. Okay, so we develop symbols to talk about the world we talk about, and the symbols actually, the environment actually shapes the kinds of symbols. So he talks about Eskimos. We have 5 words that mean snow, and we have 1 word that means snow. And we know that snow varies. Some snow is dry and powdery, and some snow is wet and sticky. And there's different kinds of snows, but it's not that important. So we have 1 word. But for Eskimos, who dogs sled in it and live in it, snow is important. So they got 5 different words. So the nature of the environment determines the symbols that you have. Okay? So first of all, we develop symbols to communicate about our environment. Second, the nature of the environment shapes the kinds of symbols we have. And third, and this is the important one, the symbols we have actually channel our perception of the environment, okay? The symbols that we have actually channel our perception of the environment. So what this means is that we tend to see what we expect to see, right? And the classic example I can give you, and I talk about this in the notes, I just read it. They did a study in the 30s, and they showed people a picture of white folks, a picture, and it was a picture of a black man and a white man, and the white man's holding a knife. And then they hold the picture up, they put it down and said, "What did you see?" These folks, these white folks, said that there was a black man holding a knife on the white man. Well, that's not what they saw, because the white guy's holding the knife, but that's the way they interpreted what they saw. In other words, they have stereotypes about black folks, that they're criminals, okay? And so when they see a knife and a black man, they assume he's got the knife. So the nature of your symbol set, if you have a distorted symbol, it's going to channel your perception of that event. So you can believe that. If you believe that all blacks are lazy and all Poles are stupid and all Indians are drunks, you go through your life and you have that conception, and you tend to see what you expect to see. Okay, it channels your perception. So you can drive in a construction site and there'll be 99 black guys working hard, and if there's one guy leaning on a shovel, that's the guy you focus on, because that's the guy that agrees with your definition of what black folks are. Or if you can see 100 Indians that are sober and hardworking, but that doesn't register because that's not your expectation of what they're like. But you see one drunk Indian and it reflects, and so it reifies this. And that's the Whorfian hypothesis. Okay, we develop concepts to communicate about our environment. The nature of the environment shapes the concepts shape our perception of the environment. Interesting idea. Okay, there's 2 concepts, and we'll be done with this chapter. And we'll be done. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. The 2 concepts are ethnocentrism, F-E-T-H, and ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. Ethnocentrism is when you use your culture as a standard for judging other people's culture. Okay? So if you believe that men are supposed to wear pants and you see a guy in a skirt or in robes or something like that, then you go, "Oh, that's stupid. That's not the way men are supposed to be dressed." Okay, well, that's ethnocentrism. Cultural relativism looks at cultures and says, okay, does that work for that culture? Okay, does that work for them? and they're not judgmental. Okay, so we generally think of ethnocentrism as being judgmental and bad, cultural relativism as being open and good. There is a problem, though. If you've got to ask yourself, is at some point, are there some things that are universally not good? Okay, like the subjugation of women. Some cultures think that that's the preferred way and that's the way to do it. I'm just, if you take a culturally relativistic perspective and say, well, does it work for them? Let me give you an example. There is a tribe in traditional India called the Todas, T-O-D-A-S. This practice is called female infanticide. Okay, and what that means is that they had this other practice. It's called fraternal polyandry, where several brothers would marry one woman. Well, if you have extra women in the society, it's dysfunctional. And so they had this practice. And what it was is they worshipped the buffalo. And so they would select certain girls, put them in the buffalo pen. The buffaloes would mill around and stomp them to death. Okay, it's female infanticide. That worked for them. And so we look at it and we say, well, that works for them. So who are we to judge? That's the culturally relativistic thing. And I'm thinking, I don't know, you're killing these little girl babies, So it's a question, should we intervene? Now, here's the interesting thing for me, is while we are likely to condemn what the Todas did, at the same time, there's some people who support third-term abortions. Now, folks, I'm not trying to make this a pro-life thing or a pro-choice thing. I don't even know where I stand for sure. But just on the face of it, it seems to me that if you're taking a baby, if you're aborting a baby that's in the third trimester, what's the difference between right now aborting them when they're viable and will be born in a few days and just after they're born? What's the difference, And so we have some high-minded folks in our society who say, oh, the Todas, those primitives, that's a terrible thing to do. And at the same time, they support third-term abortion. So I don't know, I'm not trying to say anything by this except to say that, this is a confusing issue. This is hard to deal with, cultural stuff. Okie dokie, I'm done with this. What I'm going to do now is start talking about socialization. Adios.